Today, our sponsor is G Fuel. If you want to get yourself a bunch of energy and be like me, then make sure you get yourself some G Fuel, the energy drink of esports. And to celebrate G Fuel joining up with the Comicstorian and Eligible Monster brand, you can get 30% off right now if you use the code COMICS at checkout. It's only valid for a few days, so check it out if you're interested. Welcome to Know Your Universe, the series right here at Comicstorian, where we take some of those characters you've heard announced for recent movies, and we break down a quick history synopsis of that character, letting you know who they are, what they've been doing, and why are they important to the MCU. Today we're going to be covering the character of Blade, which I'll admit, I thought was going to be a TV show, but a movie? I'll 100% take it. So here we go. Created in 1973 by Marv Wolfman, the hero Blade first appeared in The Tomb of Dracula number 10, although his first appearance was a far cry from what the fans would come to know him as. He would appear as a side character in many of the Tomb of Dracula stories, usually hunting the king, but he was also the enemy of Morbius, the living vampire. While popular during the time, the character would then fade away for a few years until resurging in the 90s, appearing in several Ghost Rider storylines, and eventually joining the team, the Midnight Suns. He would join the Night Stalkers next, appearing in the entire 18-issue run until the book was eventually canceled. It was after the book's cancellation that Blade would finally receive his own series in 1994, Blade the Vampire Hunter, but it would only run for 10 issues. From July 1994 through April 1995. With his popularity surging in 1998 due to the Wesley Snipes film, Blade would receive several more miniseries and one-shots, although the character still has not received his own series that has lasted any significant amount of issues. Blade's real name is Eric Brooks. He was born to a prostitute named Tara Stokes in London in 1929. When there were complications with the birth, the madame of the house called the doctor. Yet this wasn't any normal doctor. It was in fact the vampire Deacon Frost. During the birth, Deacon fed on Stokes, killing her. But Stokes' friends, the other prostitutes, drove away the vampire before he could feed on the small child. Blade was born, but now he had some of the traits of a vampire, though he was not a vampire himself. His original powers included a longer lifespan and the ability to sense the supernatural. Unknown at this time, it also meant that he was immune to the vampire disease itself. Eric spent the early part of his life being raised by the prostitutes like any normal child in that day and age. But one day he stumbled on a group of vampires attacking an old jazz musician who wielded a silver-bladed cane. Working together, the two of them destroyed the vampires. And while he showed promise at such a young age, Eric was no vampire hunter. The musician Jamal Afari was also a known vampire hunter and realized that Eric was special, so he began to train him to do the same, to hunt the dead. With his heightened abilities and Jamal's training, Eric soon became an excellent hunter, with a speciality in edged weapons, gaining him the nickname Blade. Now, with the knowledge and skills at his disposal, Blade began his career of hunting the creatures of the night, and he would join a street gang known as the Blood Shadows for a time, continuing to hunt vampires in the London area. Not liking the way the gang was being led in its attacks, he would then go on to lead the gang and eventually leave once they were destroyed by vampires. Eventually, Jamal Afari would fall prey to the vampire king himself, Dracula, and Blade would be forced to destroy his former mentor out of mercy. Angered by what he was forced to do, he decided to hunt Dracula and end his existence forever. Such an act was not easy, however, and Blade would spend much of his time hunting the Vampire King, sometimes joining other hunters in his quest. He did stake him on occasion, yet Dracula would always rise again to terrorize mankind. It was during his battles with Dracula that Blade realized that he could not be turned into a vampire due to the circumstances of his birth. With this knowledge, he set out to hunt down Deacon Frost, wishing to avenge his own mother. He would travel the globe, fighting numerous supernatural threats to the mortal world. That's when he would meet Hannibal King, a vampire private investigator that was turned by Deacon Frost. Working together, the two finally managed to track down the elusive vampire and destroy him once and for all. Blade would continue to work in the world of the shadows, occasionally working alongside other heroes, such as Doctor Strange, to combat the supernatural. He teamed up with Hannibal King to start the Night Stalkers, a team dedicated to fighting the supernatural. Blade would continue his adventures until later he teamed up with Spider-Man in New York to fight Morbius the living vampire, who was more science than supernatural. After he was bitten by Morbius, the vampire enzymes in his blood began to have a startling effect. Because of this, Blade received many of the abilities of vampires, while gaining none of their weaknesses. Now an even greater vampire hunter, Blade was given the title of Daywalker by those who fear him. Over the years, Blade has continued to hunt for the vampires that have threatened the world of man. He has teamed up with several heroes during this time as well. When the superhero community was divided during the Civil War arc, Blade came forward and registered with S.H.I.E.L.D., becoming one of their operatives at the time. He would then go on to work alongside the X-Men, helping them fight a vampire threat. But he would leave that group when they decided to resurrect Dracula and wouldn't allow him to kill the vampire Jubilee. He would then work alongside Spider-Man and Gwenpool next, and now he's a member of the Avengers, accepting the invitation from Black Panther after they rescued him from a group of vampires that had captured him. Outside of the comic books, Blade became one of the first popular Marvel movie franchises, with his first film debuting in 1998, starring Wesley Snipes. The films took many aspects from the comics while also updating them for a modern age. Blade would also receive his own television series, starring Sticky Fingers, which was based on the film series and lasted for one season. The hero would then receive his own anime, as well as appearing in Spider-Man the Animated Series, the Ultimate Spider-Man Animated Series, and the Hulk Agents of Smash Animated Series. It has just been announced that Blade will be making his MCU debut in a film starring Mahershala Ali as the title character. And I do apologize if I butchered that pronunciation. Either way, Blade is a character that a lot of people know, but he's not actually that prominent in the comics. So there's a lot to work with here because they can do kind of whatever they want with this reboot. So I'm excited about it. But what do you think? Do you like the character Blade? Do you want to see him in a movie? Did you think it would have been a better TV show? Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. And don't forget, also let me know other Know Your Universes that you may think we're missing, that you may want over here. Let's cover that for you and let you know this information. I'll see you next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.